Hi guys, welcome to Manhood Explained. My name is Camille. Today is 30th of September 2020. Welcome to video number 278. Something happened to me today and I want to talk about it because it kind of showed me a thing that kind of surprised me to some degree, but I've seen it happen before and I thought maybe you're in this kind of situation, so maybe thinking about and talking about it will help you to deal with the things that you're struggling with. And I want to talk about, being a killjoy. Because you see, the situation that happened to me today, I talked with one of my friends, and it looks like he was basically released from his duties. He basically was working in a company, and he's not working anymore. And it happened really fast. It's just everything finished just right there in basically few minutes. Surprisingly enough, though, he wasn't just laid off, but he was because the company wanted to play it right, and they had their own reasons to do that. I assume he was offered tons of money to leave, and he was basically paid for a few months in advance. And the situation doesn't really matter, so the details doesn't. I don't want to talk about it because it's not the thing to really talk about. But the whole situation was interesting because the moment we got on the phone, he told me what's going on. You know what were the first words that come out of his mouth? He said, "You see, it raises some issues." And he told me a few things. Doesn't really matter details again. That from his perspective, this whole situation might have a negative side. Even though he basically was basically, he was put in a situation that from now, not from a month, from now, he doesn't have to work. He basically can't work, but that's a different story. But he was basically relieved from his duties from now on. And for the next X amount of months, he's having money dropped on his account for nothing, for doing nothing. And even though that's the situation that he's really in, the first thing I heard him saying is that it raises some issues. And I said, "Bro, what are you talking about? It's such a positive situation that they put you in. They basically gave you a gift of your life, because it really rarely happens that companies do that." But then, interesting enough, which is story again of its own, I hear his friend, my friend, I know these guys, he is screaming, to the phone, being in the room with this guy. But you don't understand it just raises some issues. And I thought to myself, this thing is an issue. So let me talk about it. Because if you find yourself in kind of same kind of position right now, and even though something positive happened or something that it's not really negative, and then even though you're struggling with this, they might be maybe it's just because you're a killjoy. And if that's true, just stop it. Bro, please just stop it. Look at the bright side of life, wink wink, and just move forward. But if you're really struggling with this, there might be a few reasons that that will kind of explain why you're struggling with this. So let me just look at them and just figure it out. Maybe it'll help you to deal with the thing that you don't really understand because you're supposed to be happy. First of all, what you might see as an issue is your inability to change. Because this is exactly the situation that he found himself in. So what, you're telling me that since tomorrow I'm not going to work in the morning? So you're telling me that, I don't have work, that I can do nothing, I don't know. So what should I do? My whole daily plan basically was destroyed. My way of living that I've been doing that for years now was changed, and it wasn't my decision. It wasn't like I had a month to prepare myself mentally, that I will have to change my schedules, that I'll have to kind of rebuild it from grounds up, because in a month time I'm not going to be working here. No, the decision was done for him like 15 minutes ago, that everything will change, already changed, because he won't be able to come and work every morning. You know what I'm saying? And some of you are so afraid of change that it scares you, tremendously. That's why if you're in this kind of distress, I want you to ask yourself, is this my inability to change? Is that my inability to kind of go through that struggle, that I will have to rebuild my habits and my daily schedule? Because that might be the one thing. Second thing that you might be struggling with is people. Because let's say it straight. If you're working, and he was working a lot, and he is really great guy, a really great specialist in what he's doing. But then if you do that, you spend so much time with people. That's why this COVID time, it was a party breaker for many. But anyway, you work with people. There is something that connects you, the working environment, the issues that you're struggling with, the troubleshooting. I have to do this here and there. It builds environment, and it builds trust. It builds connections in between people. The relationships are there because you share workplace. But now there's no workplace, so maybe this is what you're afraid of. And unfortunately, this is true. And I moved here to Canada last year, and I've got to be honest. Many of the relationships that I had, and many of the relationships that I thought were had some solid foundations, that we went through something together, that it meant something for both of us. No, it didn't. So I moved. And even though we're close, because I can just take the phone and call all of these people that I've been close to. Probably now they're sleeping, so they would not pick up. But you know what I'm saying. And that might be and when I thought about it, that might be even worse. That we're so seemingly close that we can just reach it, because you think they're always there, they're always available, so I can always contact them. But you don't. Over a year passed right now, and there are some people that I try to get in touch with, having this contact. You know what happens? We split apart. And I had a situation, like, I don't know, maybe a month before I left my workplace. There was one person that we've been kind of close to. I don't know why this happened. We were like really good friends. And I remember talking with her. And I said, we were kind of talking about exactly that, so this relationship's gonna, fall apart just because, we're not gonna see each other anymore like this. And I said, listen, this is our call. We can make it fall apart, we can make it die, or we can, keep it alive. It's just our call. And she said, we're gonna keep it alive. Let's just make it happen. I don't know, maybe life happens, maybe different things happen. I'm not saying that it's her fault, my fault. It's not there. So first thing I want to tell you, maybe this is what you're afraid of, and that is a reasonable thing to be afraid of, especially if if you're close, and if this is your only group of friends that you really have in your life, because unfortunately, that will be the time for you to make new friends. But interestingly, I want you to understand that there are some relationships that out of nowhere, people start contacting me that I didn't really think that I have a relationship with. Now I do, just because it kind of lived through that whole splitting experience, and people are kind of waking up that they want to be in touch with me. You see, that's why this whole social social platforms, closeness, sort of, it's misleading because you think, but I can call him, I can call her, I can be in touch, but you never do. So listen, even if something positive happened, you might have issues with dealing with change just because the people that you're gonna leave behind. And unfortunately, you'll have to leave some of them behind. Or some of them will survive just because you want to. Some of them will not survive though, even if you want to. But some relationship will, I don't know, just become a relationship. Just because some people will say, I miss this guy. Let me talk to him. Let me see what's going on in his life. And then you're gonna bond. Just because now you have a relationship not based on the workplace, but based that you know each other and you want to keep this relationship alive. Third thing that you might be struggling with is emotions. Maybe this whole thing is not about your schedules, your habits or something. Maybe it's not really about people, but you knowing that you're maybe sentimental, that some big chapter of life is closing, and you're not ready to prepare yourself for it. Again, maybe you really needed this month to work it out, to just think it through, that everything's gonna change. Everything that I've been living for so many years, they're gonna stay behind me, and I don't know if I'm ready to leave it behind me. So that's why if you're put in this position like him, the situation is amazingly positive for him. Giving him so much chances to do something different, to make a huge step in his life, but maybe he's struggling with this as well. I don't know. But if you do think maybe it's just maybe you're just sentimental. But listen, whether it's your inability to basically deal with change itself, maybe it's your inability to deal with people that you're gonna have to leave behind, and struggle with this thinking if the relationship will survive. Maybe it's you and emotions and being sentimental. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's not. I want you, if you're in this kind of, if you're on this crossroad, I want you to really sit down and think about it. Because if you're a guy, and this whole situation has its impact on your girl and on maybe your kids even, I want you to be able to deal with it as soon as possible. Because you see, I see these situations sometimes that it for some reason it takes you more time to deal with the change than your girl. And it's kind of counterintuitive. And it shouldn't be this way. Why? Because she's much more emotional. Many of our girls, especially if you're in more traditional relationship, and probably most of us are, she's more emotional. She will need more time to go through some stuff, to deal with emotions, maybe cry a little. So that's why I don't want to really be harsh and say, if you feel something, then you put it in a jar and put it on the shelf of unsolved issues, because in some time something's gonna happen. It's gonna all those jars gonna be swept from the shelf, and then you're gonna completely fall apart. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't want you to prolong the time of you thinking about it and dealing with this, especially if there's a positive thing in front of you. I don't want you to have this thinking that everything's great, but being this guy who basically curses its own positive change that happened to you. Because if you're this kind of guy, you're not only going to rob yourself from ability to take this change and really make a really meaningful change in your life, but then it's going to impact, has its impact on your girl, on your kids, and exactly the moment that she needs to kind of come to you and say, babe, I'm not dealing well with this, can I talk to you about it? But if you're gonna be much more incapable of dealing with this than she is, who is the person that she's gonna go with this whole thing to? That's why I want you to think it through, learn the lesson, draw the conclusions, stand up on your feet, pick up your stuff and be ready to go. Because if you're all impacted as a family, I want you to be able to really be strong enough to learn this whole lesson. Get up and say, babe, can I help you? Can I help you and lead you to this whole change that will happen for all our family? Because that's going to be an amazing thing that you experience, not only as a person. If you fix that thing, you don't have to put it in a jar. You really learn the lesson. You get up on your feet. It will be freeing for you, especially if the thing is so positive in front of you. Now you can plan. Now you'll be able to see this is going to be amazing. And then when you come with that attitude to a girl, then you'll be supportive. Then she'll be able to lean on you. Then she'll say, wow, I can count on my man. I really love him. And I gladly follow him to the completely new chapter of our life. But you have to be able to do that for her to say that. That's why this is what I want you to take from this video. Change might be challenging. And it might be hard to see the positive change that will happen, even though it's obvious that it will. Sometimes it's not so obvious and it ends up being that way. But one thing that you can do to yourself and your family to kill every joy, to basically destroy every opportunity that's there for you, only because you're been concentrating on a negative side or the things that, it may cause some issues, rather than the thing that it's in front of you. Screaming, it's gonna be amazing. That's why, learn your lesson, get up on your feet, and be supportive. Be the one that she'll be able to count on and lead. Then you'll feel like a guy. You feel like a man who's capable of doing this whole thing. Think about it and do something about it. Because the way you think might kill you, and the way you think might help you to make changes that your life gonna basically surprise everyone, including you. So be that guy. If you like this video, like, share, and comment. If you didn't, comment as well. Tell me what you think and what is your experience. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, just give me a shout and I'll be really glad to talk about it and provide some solutions to you. That being said, see you tomorrow.